Hey everybody, this is TJR.
And this is Superfan.
And yesterday, which was Thursday, November 2nd, Robert and I did our reaction to the new last Beatles song, Now and Then. Thank you everybody who watched and commented. In that video, of course, we mentioned that the music video would premiere on Friday, November 3rd, which is today. And Superfan and I are going to watch the video and comment on it. We will have the sound down as we do this because we don't want to get any copyright strikes. Full disclosure, we've both watched the video prior to doing this.
Yes, we did.
This is because we want to be honest. We make no bones about the fact that we both feel that 90% of the reaction videos that are out there on YouTube, where people are reacting to either movies supposedly for the first time or songs supposedly for the first time, 90% of them are staged.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but somebody in their late 40s to early 50s, never having seen Thriller, please.
Yeah. Also, I think in a lot of these videos, there may be some honesty in what they actually think about the songs that they are supposedly reacting to for the first time. But I think to a large extent, a lot of them are just simply telling the audience that the video is aimed towards what they want to hear. There is just a tremendous amount of reaction videos that feature young adults reacting to boomer generation music, which is my generation. And in my opinion, the majority of them are just telling that audience what they want to hear, that their music is fantastic, it's amazing. They all have thumbnails where they're like this, like, I don't believe what I'm hearing,
It's like,
Yeah.
give me a break.
Yeah, it is very much staged. Some of it might be honest in that they actually do like what they are hearing. But have you ever noticed how in these reaction videos, they never say anything negative, remotely negative? Everything is just like, oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing since the invention of fire or since the invention of sliced bread. This is something we've wanted to talk about for some time, and we thought,
the greatest thing since sliced bread. What are you talking about?
I certainly think so. But anyways, this is something we've been wanting to talk about for some time, and we feel like this is a good time to just say it. So now we're going to go ahead and watch the video. So these opening scenes here, of course, are from the 90s sessions, where you see Paul, you see George, you see Ringo, and this is all from the 90s sessions for the anthology here.
Yeah.
In these opening scenes, they really could be playing anything. It's very easy to sync this up to the audio of the song. But now you've got this shot here of John Lennon kind of in semi-profile here, staring into the sunset. And they are superimposing some images of the Beatles when they were very young. This image is from Help. I haven't seen Help in a very long time.
Yeah, I haven't.
Very long time. And I've only seen it once, but I'm pretty sure that image is from Help. Now, something that I want to bring up here is that in our discussion about the song yesterday with Robert and myself, I mentioned that the song made me feel very, very sad. Something I wasn't expecting to feel.
Yeah.
Looking at this image, it kind of reinforces to me my understanding as to why it made me feel so sad, because clearly this song, recorded in the 70s as a demo by Lennon, would be about Yoko. That's the only person he would have been writing about as far as any type of love song like this. But when you have this image of Lennon in profile here, staring into the sunset, with a superimposition of the Fab Four in their early days, it's clear that they're changing the meaning of the song to mean this is him thinking about the Beatles, and this is the Beatles saying goodbye.
Yeah.
And it is very sad to look at this and watch it. And it is very much, you said earlier before we shot this, you said, yeah, they're kind of ending, this is their last song, they're ending on a downer.
Yeah, but it's what they had to work with.
It's all they had to work with, absolutely. Now, there's some later footage here, which is again from the 90s session, the anthology sessions, where obviously they are recording now and then, because you look at it and you see Paul's his lips perfectly in sync with the song.
Yeah.
This is not AI. This is completely real. There is no uncanny valley here. So clearly this
That
is
comes
them.
later.
Yeah, that will come later. But clearly there is no fakery here. This is them actually performing the song. Now we've got an image of John Lennon briefly here, standing in front of a sign that says Sgt. Pepper on the Road. And I was thinking, what is this? And you did a little research and found out this was a play.
A stage play.
A stage play.
About Sgt. Pepper.
That I had never heard of before. You described some of what it was about, but it basically sounds like it's a fictional story based on different Beatles songs, with characters taking on the names of characters from Beatles songs like Billy Shears. Yeah. And you mentioned that this might have served as inspiration for the Sgt. Pepper film that starred the Bee Gees and Peter Frampton, that really awful movie, which Robert and I talked about, by the way. I had never heard of this play before, and now I kind of want to go down the rabbit hole and see if I can find out anything else about it. This is a bit of Beatle history that I'd never heard of before. Now we have this image, which you remarked was John Lennon trying to look like Eric Clapton.
Yes.
It's the outfit and it's the
beard,
the beard stubble,
the color of the hair.
Yeah, yeah. They managed to sync that video and slow it down so that it actually kind of synced with a line from the song. It's about the only time they do this. And then we're back here to more footage. But now, this is the part where I have a problem with this video. We've got this image of Paul and Ringo in the present day singing. But the backdrop appears to be...
It's a backdrop. It's obviously a backdrop.
Yeah, it's obviously a backdrop, and they're inserted in front of it. We, of course, know, this has been well documented, that Paul and Ringo were not in the same room together when this was recorded and worked on. The track was sent to Ringo. Ringo recorded his drum track in his home studio. Paul did his stuff in another studio. So it just seems, you can just tell it's been superimposed over this image here, and it just looks very fake. It bothers me somewhat, but not as bad as this image here, where it's the same backdrop. It's Paul and Ringo in the present day, but now we've got younger version of John to the right, younger version of George to the left.
Yeah, it's very, just the two remaining Beatles in that, with that backdrop is Uncanny Valley.
Yeah.
And then you drop in
younger John and young John from the late 60s and young George from the late 60s.
And it's
just yeah,
creepy.
the Uncanny Valley is it just doesn't sit well with me looking at this. I mean, obviously, of course, it's fake, but it just doesn't look good. And there's a lot of this throughout this video. We've got them mixed in with the 90s sessions from Anthology. We've got young George and older George, and then we've got young Paul and older Paul. And all of this, it just bugs. Yeah, I'm fine with this footage separated, flashing back and showing the older footage, flashing back to the newer footage, but never together. And this goes on for a good midsection of the video. I will admit this one little shot here where, again, we've got current day Paul and Ringo, we've got 60s George and 60s John here, but he's kind of keeps pointing. It looks like he's pointing at Paul's mic, which of course he wasn't really doing in real life. And he's got this goofy look on his face. I'll admit that is kind of funny. right there.
Kind of, but
It's also kind of creepy looking too, in my opinion.
the giggly laughy bit doesn't fit with the song at all.
Yes, a lot of this goofiness doesn't fit with the very sad, melancholy aspect of the song. I don't know if they were trying to soften some of that because it is such a downer of a song to go out on, that they wanted to try to give it a little bit more humor.
And I guess there's nothing wrong with wanting to do that, but I think that it could have been done better.
I think they just should not have inserted younger Beatles into
Older Beatles.
older Beatles footage, whether it be it 90s or present day. It just doesn't look right to me. We've got a shot here of John Lennon in the 60s, there with the present day orchestra that did the string stuff here in this section here. You said this didn't bother you as much, but it bugs me. All of this bugs me big time to see it done this way. Then
That is really annoying.
Yeah, we've got an image here of Paul sitting in the studio while the strings are recording, and we've got young Paul next to him and young George next to him.
And it's kind of like he's looking back and forth between
the two of them.
Like he's kind of a Brady Bunch moment.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't work.
Yeah, and then there's this image here where you've got current day Paul in the studio. You've got young Paul and young George kind of goofing off, acting goofy.
Yeah.
And
it doesn't fit.
It doesn't fit the song, and it's just too uncanny valley again, this whole mixture here. Thankfully, they will finally move away from this and just keep the older footage separate from the 90s footage and the current day footage. Now here I like this part here where we're just looking at the 60s Beatles with a Sgt. Pepper montage behind them. We're looking at footage of their last photo shoot of them, and we're looking at footage of the Hey Jude video, but it's just them in that time period. There's no mixing of the different time periods, and this works really well. This montage at the end is brilliant, where we see very early footage of them. I'm guessing this is the Cavern Club. Robert mentioned that in the press release for this video, the day before, which was yesterday, that even Pete Best contributed some archival material. This really early footage here might be some of his contribution, possibly. I don't know.
That doesn't look like the Cavern Club. We have been there.
We've also got all these very young images of the Beatles where there's movement, and clearly these were still photographs, and AI has been used to add a slight bit of movement and motion to them.
Which is fine.
This works fine for me. This montage at the end is fantastic. And I really do wish that the rest of the video would have done this.
Done more of this. But I think that there may have been a concern about appearing too much like Free as a Bird.
Uh-huh.
Because
possibly. Or again, just not wanting the song to feel as sad as it does. And as this montage here at the ending progresses, we see images of the individual Beatles getting younger and younger from their early youth. And again, still footage that's been enhanced with AI so that it has a small amount of movement to it. We finally close on this shot here where they finish the song, they take a bow, and then the four of them just vanish. They fade away, and we're just left with this empty stage and the Beatles logo here behind them. And yeah, it's very sad.
It is, because it's...
Well, we both know that
there's nothing else out there.
This is I guess all they have left that they could try to create a track with. We also know, and I know this is going to be hard for people to hear, but both Paul and Ringo, who knows how much longer we're going to have either of them,
Yeah.
I'm not in any hurry, trust me here, but it's just a reality. And there is a real sense when I look at this, and when I heard the song yesterday, I just so strongly felt a sense of my own mortality through this song. I think that's why I felt such a level of sadness over it. In my personal life, I've been dealing with loss too over the last few years, having lost a lot of important people in my life. I don't want to get too much into this, but clearly that's playing into it for me. Earlier today, before we shot this, we listened to Real Love and we listened to Free as a Bird. And I commented how those really do feel like Beatles songs.
Yeah.
Now and then, when I discussed it yesterday with Robert, I said it doesn't really feel like a Beatles song as much as it feels like a John Lennon song. And that's because it seems to be lacking enough elements to make it feel like a Beatles song. When you listen to Real Love, for instance, you hear these very wonderful guitar riffs from George Harrison that are so signature, that just say, that's George Harrison on guitar. And Paul, to his credit, tried his best to try to emulate George Harrison with a slide guitar solo. But I really felt it. I said it in the video I made with Robert yesterday, that it felt more like David Gilmour than it did George Harrison. Not being critical of Paul here. He's doing the best he can. But we also, when Paul is singing, he's singing in his present day voice, his older voice.
Yeah.
And honestly, I would have had no problem if they had used AI to de-age Paul's voice to mix it with John Lennon, because this is Lennon in the 1970s singing. So to me, using AI to de-age Paul's voice so that it sounds like him in the 70s would have, in my opinion, worked better and made it sound more Beatle-like. And I would have had no problem with that. Some people probably would have. And I'm guessing that's why, if they did consider doing that at all, why they didn't, because there would have been criticism about using AI on Paul's voice.
And that's a matter of preference, too.
It's a matter of preference, yeah. I can respect their decision to go the way they did. I can see why, they didn't do that, if they even considered it. I'm guessing they probably did, though. But that could have made it sound more Beatle-like. So instead of having George and Paul and Ringo harmonizing, because they've already got John's voice there on the recording, they've got just Paul and Ringo harmonizing.
Yeah.
And it's older Paul and it's older Ringo. And so, yeah, I think that they had de-aged the voices. That probably could have worked better. And again, I'm not saying the track is bad. I'm just saying it makes it sound less like the Beatles and more like a John Lennon song, in my opinion.
And honestly, they may have tried it and didn't like the way it sounded.
It's possible. But I've heard other creators out there on YouTube unofficially recreating Paul's voice or John's voice, making it sound younger, and doing a pretty good job with it. And I kind of feel that, this was, of course, using the Peter Jackson technology from Get Back. I kind of feel like they could have even done a better job if they'd wanted to. But I'm guessing it was more of a decision that we want to keep everything real. We're only going to use the AI to separate John's vocals from the piano so that we can have a really solid, crystal clear recording of his voice. We're not going to, do anything else. So, yeah. Overall, I still think this is a pretty good video, but that all of that footage in the middle where we've got the present day mixed in with the earlier Beatles, yeah, it just, to me, that's just very, very, it just doesn't work for me. It's very bizarre. It's very odd. Maybe you feel differently. If you do, please just bring it up in the comments. And of course, there's a very sad ending. You see them bow and just vanish.
Yeah.
But you had mentioned it's too bad that Free as a Bird maybe wasn't the one they couldn't salvage back in the 90s, and that would have been
a better last song.
A better last song. But, someone in the comments section from yesterday's video where we reacted to the song said, I think too many people were expecting a miracle. And they have to have realistic expectations as to what they had to work with in the present day, and, the limitations of the fact that, George is not here anymore. All they had was a rhythm guitar track from George from those 90s sessions. Without that, they may not have even tried, because it really they couldn't say it was a Beatles song if they didn't have George actually playing on it somewhere from the 90s. So luckily they did, so they could say, yeah, this is a Beatles song because we're all on it. This video definitely made me better understand why hearing the song yesterday made me feel so much sadness. And I mean really serious sadness. But I do like the song. I think I'm liking it more as I've been living with it over the last 2 days.
Yeah, it's a good song.
Yeah, it's a good song, but it is a real sad and
Melancholy.
really melancholy and downer track to go out on. But like I said, everything will be looked at differently in the context of history. Right now, we're just reacting here, seeing this video for the first time.
Yeah.
And being as honest about it as we can. Again, we had already heard the song. We'd already watched the video. We wanted to do that in preparation for this.
It's better than any we had any reason to expect.
All of this is better than we have any reason to expect or any right to expect. It is a miracle that they can do this, and it is still a gift. I don't want it to look like we're ungrateful for this. It is a gift. It is a gift that we have this technology now to remix earlier recorded tracks that couldn't be remixed because they were locked in due to the limitations of the technology at the time. And I am looking forward to hearing the remixes of the Red and Blue albums, the newer remixes that are going to be premiering next week, next weekend. I'm really looking forward, especially what's on the Red album, because the majority of that has not been remixed. I was very pleased with the remix of Love Me Do, that is the B-side to Now and Then, both in physical formats and on streaming. I was very pleased with hearing that remix. It sounded wonderful to hear it in such a level of detail and clarity that wasn't previously available. So I'm really looking forward to that. I've been talking with Robert about us commenting on that. We're both hoping we can do that together, that we can comment on the remixes of the Red and Blue albums. Anyways, though, so that is our reaction to the music video.
Yeah.
And
it's a sad song to go out on, but that being said, there is so much more Beatles music out there that's not sad.
Yeah. After Robert and I finished our video yesterday, I began listening to so much Beatle music throughout the whole day and the evening as I took my evening exercises and all that. I just listened to a lot. In fact, I listened to the Red album in its entirety as it exists now. I listened to it on streaming and in preparation, and had a wonderful time listening to the early stuff. But yeah, so that's our reaction. Seems like I already said that. Let us know what you think about the video. Let us know your thoughts, good or bad. Do you agree with what our observations, or do you disagree? Did the Uncanny Valley stuff bother you or not bother you? Let us know what you think. We'll be curious to hear. As always, thank you for watching. And if you like these videos, hit like, hit subscribe, hit the bell notification icon. A big shout out and thank you to the patron supporters.
You're fierce and mighty.
Patron supporters do receive exclusive weekly videos not available on this channel. And we'll see you all in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.